You're listening to Podketeers.
Welcome to episode 276 of Podketeers. In this episode, we talk about the event A Swinging Wake that we had the opportunity to attend, celebrating the Haunted Mansion's 50th anniversary. I know I mentioned this in the podcast, but I just want to send a very huge thank you to the person that gave us the opportunity to go. It was a very special event, and I appreciate the gesture very, very much. Spidey is coming home, at least for a while. We're getting Spider-Man back in the MCU, and we talk about that. Plus, Gavin tells us about Walt Disney's first ever live-action film, Treasure Island. Remember that if you have any thoughts on anything that we talk about, join the conversation over on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or on YouTube. Just search for Podketeers. If you're on YouTube, we hope that you check out some of the other content and you subscribe. If you do, remember to hit that bell icon for notifications telling you whenever we post new videos. Team Boat Willie is officially signed up for Walk for Hope because we are joining the fight against women's cancers. Team Boat Willie is our official charity group, and we work to raise money with organizations that are helping to make a positive impact in this world. Our goal for Walk for Hope is to raise $1,000, and as of this episode, we're over the halfway mark. So please make a donation to help us reach our goal. Share our links to help spread the word of our efforts. Plus, we'll be releasing info on our upcoming auctions on Instagram to benefit these fundraising efforts. These will work hand in hand with the $3 donations we will be making for every Team Boat Willie item sold on our website until October 31st, 2019. For more information, please check out the blog post for this episode or go to teamboatwillie.com if you'd like to sign up, be a part of our team, or to make a donation. Remember, it's super easy to remember our website. It's like Steamboat Willie, but without the S, teamboatwillie.com. Of course, I can't start the episode without offering our deepest gratitude to a special group of listeners called the FGP Squad, aka our podcast Fairy Godparents, because it's their generosity through their monthly contributions via Patreon that help make these episodes of Podketeers possible. If you like the podcast, it's a great time to become part of the FGP Squad. We got giveaways and special posts and stuff. If you'd like more info, a link to sign up, or even to make a one-time donation, you can go to podketeers.com/FGP. To all of the members of the FGP Squad, we want to say thank you very much for your continued support. All right, are you guys ready? Good. Let's do this podcast thing. Here is episode 276 of Podketeers. Look what I got.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
It's that Bobby book.
It sure is, my friend.
I want that Bobby book, Bobby book, Bobby book. I want that Bobby book, Bobby book, Bobby book. I want that Bobby book, Bobby book, Bobby book. I want that Bobby book, Bobby book, Bobby book. I want that Bobby book,
I'll
Bobby
read
book, Bobby book.
Iger's new book.
I'm gonna read this in video. Oh my god, you guys. That was good.
We go on tour next month. Get your tickets now.
It's going to be the fastest concert you've ever attended.
Coming to an arena near you.
That song. We'll even do an encore for you. We'll have Skrillex do a remix.
We're opening up monster truck rallies across the Midwest. It's going to be lit.
We're going to be opening up Crazy Eights all over. Especially one where there's a lady named Miss Fritter that takes control of the field there. That's funny. Yeah, I'm super excited,
the Bobby
man.
book. Yeah, exciting.
Haven't had a chance to crack it open yet. I am excited. I finally got it. It was part of a shipment that I hadn't opened up this week. And I got that. I don't know if I told you, but I also ended up getting the Audible book so that I can kind of pick up where I left off or listen to it all the way through after I read it or vice versa. I just like having both options available to me. And There's a lot of people on here that have said very good things about it. An author that I think you and I are both very familiar with, Gavin, Daniel Coyle, who wrote the Culture Code.
Cool.
He is quoted as saying on here, people have been waiting years for Bob Iger to share his leadership secrets. Now he has, and they are utterly brilliant. You know, he goes on to say much more, but I'm super excited to read this book. And it's a really fast read, too. It looks like it's only a couple hundred pages. So
wow.
I could, probably get through that in an hour or two, depending on how much ruckus there is around me.
I'm excited because I feel like as soon as you're done reading that book,
we're going to become billionaires. Yes.
When I come to the podcast, I'll feel like I'm working for Bob Iger because you're going to adopt all of his style, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Sweet.
That's funny. So yeah, in case you guys didn't know, I think we mentioned in the last episode, Bob Iger finally wrote his memoirs, and the book is finally out. It is available on Amazon and many local bookstores near you. I don't know if that's still a thing, but I'll put an Amazon link up in the blog post for the episode at podketeers.com/276 if you guys want to get your copy. We do want to let you know that is an affiliate link, and if you use it, we do get a small kickback from Amazon because you went through our link, and the little bit that we get back from Amazon does help us out with the monthly cost of the podcast. To everybody that's already doing that or going to podketeers.com/Amazon before your purchases, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for helping us out like that. Been an interesting week. Let's shift gears a little bit because I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast. I know we talked about this off the podcast, but this weekend was the event A Swinging Wake put on by Haunted OC. When we first may have mentioned it, we talked about not having the opportunity to go. Well, that changed. We had some tickets blessed upon us, and we had the opportunity to attend. Unfortunately, Gavin couldn't go, but Mel and I did get a chance to go, and it was pretty fun.
Yeah. I'm still recovering.
Yeah, honestly, I really didn't know what to expect, right? Because they talked about how it was going to be a mixer and how there was going to be some live stage show stuff. Early on, I didn't know if it was going to be a formal event or if it was just like business cash or something. But I went formal-ish, if you can call it that.
It was fine.
I mean, it was formal casual. Yes, that is a term that I have coined and I will use. Formal casual.
There you go.
So we show up. I tried to vlog, and I got a story about that as well, by the way. As soon as we walked into the dinner and the event, I tried to record a few things, but I kind of fell into that trap of almost forgetting to vlog again because I was having so much fun with all the stuff that was happening. So overall, I think I recorded a few things throughout. It's going to be a very short vlog. That's all I'm saying.
Nice.
Yeah.
So this was a non-Disney event, right?
That is correct. It was put on by Haunted OC. It was, I think we, in the D23 vlog that we posted on YouTube, we had a chat with Ernie Alonso when we went to Bob Gurr's booth. It was the same segment where we talked to Justin Scard. He is the owner of Haunted OC, and he was the one that was putting on the event. And when we got there, like I said, we really didn't know what to expect because since we kind of went into it blind, we didn't know we were going to go to this event until like a day before it actually happened.
Yeah.
We were so excited, in fact, that I think we both had like butterflies in our stomach because
oh my gosh,
we just didn't know what to expect. There was a little bit of a bar situation and a lot of talking in the downstairs area. It was at a tea house in Fullerton, and it was several floors worth of merchandise. The dance floor, there was a swing band, there was a DJ. These types of things, or these types of events, I love going to them because there's always those little tidbits that are thrown out by the guests or by former Imagineers, by, just people that have worked either with Walt or in the industry that either have firsthand knowledge or have heard firsthand about these stories from the people that actually experienced them. So at times there's a generational loss, but it's always nice to hear those additional things that don't go into books or don't go into documentaries, right?
Yes.
And it was really nice last night to see Garner Holt. I've been a fan of Garner Holt for a really long time. His story was really inspiring. Yeah, that's a great word. It was very inspiring. I'd love to have Garner on the podcast and just sit down and have him tell us his story. I want to save it, because if we ever do get that opportunity, I'd rather it come from him than come from me. But he's got a very inspiring story. It was really nice having a chance to chat with him. I kind of geeked out for a little bit. And once I kind of composed myself, we took a selfie and I kind of went on my merry way. Bob Gurr was there. We had a chance to talk to Bob. It's always a pleasure to speak with him. We had a chance to see Kat Cressida, who we haven't seen in quite a while. She's went through a few things with her health, and, she's much better now. So, we continue wishing her the best in her recovery, and hopefully everything continues to be well. Yeah, man, it was just a great experience. Oh, and Tanya McKnight Norris was there. Does that name sound familiar?
No.
Oh, do you want to explain it, Mel, or should I?
Okay. So, this woman, she pretty much worked in WED and in interior. And she worked on majority of New Orleans Square and Club 33. But she is the Imagineer behind the original purple wallpaper that you see at the Haunted Mansion. Of course, it's changed, but she is the person behind it. And
wait, it changed?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
the original
that.
version.
And she explained that to us too while she got to speak.
And that's the thing, right? We all hear that Rolly created it.
Right.
And but he's really more credited with the revamp of the design. She explained some of the primary differences and how the eyes were elongated, but such a great story. It was fantastic.
That's awesome. That's really cool, because that wallpaper, it's one of the most subtle but influential pieces of iconography that goes into the whole cult fandom of the mansion. And I can't imagine that not being, part of that experience. So that's cool that I didn't know that it was a single person that basically created that. That's awesome.
Really, it was actually an honor to actually have a chance to just walk up to her, and I did exactly what you're saying. I thanked her, and I told her I appreciated what she's done, because look at it now, 50 years later. I mean, this is a huge part of our culture. And I almost fell when I went to approach her.
She really did, by the way.
I was really trying. I don't do well when I'm geeking out. So just to have that opportunity it was amazing.
No joke. I thought I turned into a hot mess when I was geeking out, but yeah, that was interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, super fun evening. I just want to say thank you to the person that got us into the event, because I don't know how to say thank you. I'll figure out a way, but just thank you so much for allowing us to enjoy this evening. Yeah, I want to go back. Let's do it again.
It's really cool. So,
I haven't taken it off.
Nice. How long was this event?
5 hours?
Yeah,
Ooh,
it's the first part of the mixer. They had a VIP mixer area and a non-VIP mixer area prior to the event start. That started at 6 p.m. The actual event started at 7, and then it ended at midnight.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was really great. It was a really long event. There was a bit of a shift in the event itself, because it started off very Haunted Mansion. They had, tributes. They told the Haunted Mansion story. and there was some actors. There was like an acting troupe, just mini stage show basically with 3 guys taking on several different characters with different props and hats and voices. So that was pretty funny and at times a little cheesy, but overall it was really fun to watch. What else did they have? They had that, and then they talked about the changes in the mansion, and they went through the entire mansion script. And so as they did that, they also kind of acted out the scenes in the Haunted Mansion. So that was super fun. And then once that was over, we had Bob come up and speak. We had Garner come up and speak. Then who was next?
Kat, I
Kat
believe.
was next, right?
No. Excuse me. Tanya.
Tanya came up next,
and
yes.
then Kat.
And then Kat. And then after that, I think Justin closed it out. We went back to some dancing, and I think in the last hour or so is when it went from kind of like swing dancing, the DJ kind of took over, and it went into straight up backyard barbecue mode, yo.
After hours.
It was pretty fun because like we sat there watching the transition happen, and it was interesting to see people's faces because I think it caught everyone off guard. And we're thinking, like, why is Snoop playing all of a sudden? But then people get up on the dance floor. They start busting a move, dude.
They did.
Of course. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was fun. It was really fun. They did a costume contest.
Oh, yeah.
There was, like I said, there was other celebrities. Holly Madison and I think Bridget Marquardt? I think that's how you say it. I don't know. I'm not going to...
I don't know either of those names.
They started off on TV as television personalities, as the girlfriends of Hugh Hefner. And they've gone on to become hosts of other television shows. Holly has written a book. So they've gone on to become very independent business people at this point. So, yeah, it was nice seeing. We were sitting in the table like right next to them.
Yeah,
and I felt really bad just going up to them and asking them for a picture. Like, I do my best to not engage with celebrities outside of something that they're involved in.
Yeah, just like let them enjoy it.
Yeah, you know, so I didn't go up to them. So they're not in the vlog because I was just too shy to go up to them. I remember going up to Holly once at Disneyland, and even after that, I was pretty, like, I felt remorse because I felt like I bugged her. But it was the first year that we started the podcast, probably. I don't remember, but I remember going to Disneyland and I was wearing the coffee looking logo, the Starbucks parody of the Podketeers logo. And I remember bumping into her between Toontown and It's a Small World, and I saw her and I was like, oh my god, like I kind of whispered it to her. I was like, oh my god, are you Holly Madison? And she's all like, yes, I think so. I was like, oh my god, is it okay if I grab a selfie with you? She's like, yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, sure. And so we took the selfie. And even then, like I said, I felt a little guilty about it. So last night when I saw them, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to bug them. Nice. It'll be fine.
They looked adorable because they were all dressed up. Bridget was the mansion maid. It was cute.
Yeah,
it was really cute.
Good. Yeah. So overall, I have to say, super enjoyable event. Haunted OC, you guys did a great job.
Yeah.
And if we can fast forward or take a time machine to the next 50-year event that they put on, I think we should make an attempt to be there at that one as well. Oh, and by the way, I just want to send a quick shout out to our table mates at the event. Quick shout out to Steve, also known as Steamboat Steve. Alex, he's Alex the Historian on YouTube. Lynette and Jason, known as Interactive Realm. We had a super cool time talking to all of them, and I appreciated being able to swap vlogging stories and editing stories with Alex, because he's got a really great YouTube channel, which I'll end up posting in the blog post for this episode if you guys want to go check that out as well. So yeah, just want to send a quick shout out to all of them.
Was there any sort of gift bag or souvenir that you got, or did you guys buy any merchandise?
For us, there wasn't because we didn't get the VIP sections. Like, they had 4 or 5 tables that were, I think, 2 or 3 times the cost of the normal admission, which allowed you to sit at someone's table, like at Bob's table, Garner's table, etc. But there were tables set up in the upstairs area where you could purchase merchandise. Mel actually bought something.
I did. Actually, I have a friend who often, we both follow each other on Instagram, and she actually recognized me. And long story short, I went to go see her booth, and her Instagram is 6 soaps. What she does is she creates like hand soaps that are, they're Haunted Mansion based, they're Disney based, or the random stuff I've seen is a McDonald's chicken nugget soap.
What?
Yeah, it's really cool. I got to meet her, like actually finally meet her face to face. So that was a really cool treat. So I had to buy one. I ended up coming home with the Hatbox Ghost soap, which I don't want to open because it's so cool looking.
Please don't. It is such a cool looking soap, Gavin, and it smells tremendous.
It does. Oh my gosh, Cheyenne does a great job. So it was just great. I mean, cherry on the top.
Yeah.
Already fangirling.
Wow.
We'll put a link in the blog post for the episode so that you can check out her stuff on Instagram. I'm sure that in her bio she's got links to her Etsy or her website, however she sells her stuff. But yeah, like I saw everything that was there. I think I may have gotten some video when we went upstairs of what was on the tables for sale, and she had some like the little tombstones and everything.
Yeah.
Like, they just look so good. Like, when you talk about amazing handcrafted items, bam, right there.
Yeah.
Right there. Hey, speaking of amazing handcrafted items, congratulations, Melissa.
Thank you.
You launched your website finally. Why don't you tell everyone about it?
Oh, this was a long, long work of progress. I'm just so happy it's happening. So I have a new home. And of course, it is the oddmouseshop.com. I was able to create a new look. I was nervous before I even launched it, but I have everything on there. Check it out. Yeah, I'm still over the moon. I'm still floating on cloud 9 about this.
Yeah, it's certainly an undertaking whenever you create a website like that, and to have to manage it and everything, it does take a lot of work, but it just feels so good that at the end of the day, something that you've created is either giving someone joy or something that they purchase from you is giving them joy. Right? And this kind of fits both of those buckets. Like, people will go and they'll see that it's not just your stuff. Like, you have this amazing team of people working with you.
I do.
Give them all a shout out.
Ooh, okay. So I have a group of girls who, from the beginning, who have just been there, who's helped me interact, who's reposted, who didn't have to do that, but they've been so loyal. Let me go down the line, and I'm going to see if I could go in order. Starting from the top, I have Carla, which is at the Disney Fashionista, Karina at Disney by Karina, Jill, you've heard her so many times on this podcast. She is my bestie, my ride or die, at Tinkerbella728. Jessica at OC Swanee. Inthia at Miss Inth. Maggie at Margaret French. And Jessica and Melissa, Adventures of Disney Sisters. These girls, I mean, they've been they've had my back, and I just want to share the love back. So when you go onto my homepage, you'll actually get to meet them and see the different things. So whether they have an Etsy store or just their Instagram. So go ahead and check it out. Give them some love. Tell them I sent you. Say hi. And yeah, let's all be friends.
Sweet.
Super cool. We'll leave a link in the blog post for the episode for Mel's new website. Like she said, make sure that you head on over there and just give all these ladies some love, because I mean, I've seen it over the years as well. You know, I've seen the reposts, and I've seen the love and the friendship that comes along with just having it's just having like this whole section of people that are just cheering you on in a stadium, right? That's what it feels like. That's what it looks like from down here. Mm-hmm. And I remember when Mel told us that she was working on this website, and I remember her sharing some of the frustrations of putting it together. I was like, "You got this." It's frustrating at times, and I can empathize with you.
There's a lot to learn, so I give props to everyone who's going to do this or who wants to do this. Do it. There's a lot to learn, but it's worth it.
Now we got to get Gavin's site up and running so we can sell some of that fine art.
There you go.
Yeah, that's it's going to be a Herculean task right there, my friend.
We'll take it on. We can go the distance.
I was going to say that. Wow.
Yes. Hey, so I want to make an announcement. We have some brand new products. Speaking of things that we sell, we have some new products in the gear section of podketeers.com. We now have mugs.
Yes.
So if you want some kind of liquid receptacle to put up to your face and drink some coffee or some tea or some bourbon, I don't know what you drink during the day when you're at work, but whatever it is, get yourself a Podketeers mug to get you through the day. And if you want to make a difference, get yourself one of the Teamboat Willie mugs, because from now through October 31st, we will make a $3 donation for every single product with the Teamboat Willie logo on it or any Teamboat Willie related merchandise towards our fundraising efforts for City of Hope in the fight against women's cancers. We're going to be participating in Walk for Hope on November 3rd, 2019. And we're just super excited. I want to say thank you to everybody that's helped retweet, repost, has been talking about our products. As of this episode, we are at $510 of our $1,000 goal to raise for this event. So we're just over the halfway mark. If you want to contribute, please head on over to teamboatwillie.com. There you will find a link where you can either join the team and help us raise money, or you can make a donation. This coming week, we will be announcing when the auctions will be taking place. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to see the video that we posted. I'll put it in the blog post for this episode if you want to go take a look. But we will be auctioning off a Madame Leota Funko, which was the one that was released during the Haunted Mansion's 50th anniversary weekend. It was a Parks exclusive, in case you were wondering. And we are going to be auctioning off the 50th anniversary Haunted Mansion ears that are signed by Bob Gurr.
Awesome.
Nice.
I'm super excited to get those up. So more information will be coming up on Instagram, Twitter, and on Facebook. The auctions themselves will take place on Instagram, similar to what we've done in the past. So stay tuned for more information. But if you don't want to deal with all the auctions and all that stuff, again, teamboatwillie.com. You'll find a link where you can make a donation or join the team. And to everyone that's helping us out to spread the word, remember, let's change the world. Teamboatwillie.com.
Heck yes.
Oh, by the way, I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier. So this story about the gimbal. So I now have access to a Ronin SC gimbal. And
no way.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know you have no idea what that is, but I'm going to fill you in. So you know what a gimbal is, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So for those that don't know what a gimbal is, it's essentially something that you mount your phone or your camera on, and it helps keep it steady so that it's not bouncing around or jittery, like all my footage normally tends to come out if I don't have something like that attached to my arm, because I drink way too much coffee, now out of a Podketeers mug available on podketeers.com/gear. And because of that, I need a little bit of help. I have a gimbal for my phone, and I've walked around the park with it. It's fantastic. But as of last week, I now have access to a gimbal that can hold an actual camera. And so on Thursday or Friday, when I got this access granted to me, I told my friend Ross at work, I was like, dude, we got to shoot a video. He's like, well, we don't have anything to shoot. I was like, yeah, sure we do. And I wanted to just post like a little teaser clip of the new mugs, like opening up one of the mugs, almost like an unboxing video. And while we were playing with the gimbal, I wanted to actually make coffee because it's part of our normal thing in the morning. Like either I make coffee or Ross makes coffee. And then we just kind of share it after that. So we decided that we were just going to film the process of making this coffee. And then I figured, okay, well, it'll be a good opportunity for us to kind of learn how to maneuver the gimbal around and stuff like that. And then, we'll have some quote unquote experience under our belts. So we start filming this whole thing. And unbeknownst to me, it was National Coffee Day this last weekend. And so I figured, you know what? I should try to just put a cool little video together with the footage that I shot. And it turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
For a thing that I just threw together with what was almost throwaway footage because we were just practicing. Right. It turned out pretty decent. I was pretty happy with the outcome. I took a drink out of the cup, and I'm like cheesy grinning over at the camera. And then Ross is like, yep, that's it right there. Hashtag influencer.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, it was pretty fun. It was great. Quick shout out to my buddy Ross at work for helping me out with that video. We had fun doing it. And now that I have access to this gimbal, I'm probably going to be able to take it to Disneyland with me or to other things that we go to so that I can shoot steadier video. And I'm pretty happy about that.
That's awesome.
So, anyhow.
Yeah, your little video was actually really good. It had a lot of character to it. It had some great, like the actual shot looked really good, I thought it was really cool. I didn't realize you were using new equipment because I think all your stuff looks fantastic, but I'm very excited about this.
Well, thank you. Yes, I was pretty excited when we got a chance to use this. And like I said, I'm more excited about the opportunity to take it to the parks with me. I actually had it at the Swinging Wake event, and I was walking around with it. That, I think, gave me a lot more experience and a lot more in terms of what its limitations are. Because, I mean, I really, was swiping it around, trying to figure out, how much better is this than my phone gimbal? And I learned very quickly that it has its limitations as well. It's not a complete, solution to my over-caffeinated jitters. But, I mean, it's 98% there.
It's a start.
Yeah. I mean, I think I could be content with 98% of the jitters gone.
Yep.
So,
yeah,
pretty excited. Be getting some more footage soon. So yeah, what else happened this week? Oh, Spider-Man. The news about Spider-Man, I think, basically broke the internet. We posted on Instagram that Sony and Marvel have reached a deal to bring Spider-Man back to the MCU for 3 more films.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry. I sounded excited there. So just 3, and then they have to renegotiate after that?
Probably. I'm not exactly sure what the terms are because as of us recording this, the terms of the deal haven't really been revealed. All we know is that a new partnership has been struck, and obviously it's great that they reached this deal because it's been a great addition to the MCU. The things that they've been able to do with Spider-Man and the films that currently exist as part of the Infinity Saga are just fantastic. It's been the most fruitful as far as what has been grossed for Spider-Man films for Sony since they've owned the character. So the fact that they were beefing over this, I think that's why so many people were concerned about it, because outside of what we got with Into the Spider-Verse, Sony doesn't really have an amazing track record of what they've done with the live-action version of Spider-Man. Some of them have been decent, but nothing compared to what has been done with the Tom Holland version of Spider-Man in the MCU. Plus, I mean, I don't want to spoil too much, but the way that everything's been set up, you know, in Homecoming and, you know, the latest Spider-Man film, Far From Home, like everything in all the films that he's been in with Tony Stark, it's always looked like he was the predecessor, with the suits that he was giving Spider-Man and all the tech that was being incorporated. It looked like they were basically lining him up to be the next Iron Man of the MCU, to carry the next phase. Yeah, I'm so glad that this happened. Even Bob Iger chimed in on it.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember he quit Twitter, and then he came back.
I told you.
Just a few days later.
I told you.
Just to talk about how he was so happy about the Spider-Man feud ending. I'm looking at his tweet right now. It says, Disney-Sony Spider-Man feud ends. Kevin Feige to produce sequel. This certainly warms my heart. Thank you, Sony.
So, what do you think the timeline is for those 3 films? Like 6 years?
It has to be fairly quickly, because all of the films are supposed to take place in between the next Guardians of the Galaxy films, I think.
Okay. So is it he's going to be in 3 Spider-Man films, or it's like he's going to be in 1 Spider-Man and like 2 Avengers films?
Great question. Don't know. I don't know much about what has been set as far as the deal, but once we know, we'll incorporate it into the blog post for the episode, or we'll talk about it in an upcoming episode as soon as we have more details. But
I'm going to throw out a conspiracy theory here real quick. You cool with that?
I want to hear it.
They negotiated for 3 more movies because they feel like that's just about the amount of time they'll need to acquire Sony Entertainment for Disney.
Ooh.
I don't know.
They're just going to snatch it up.
I don't think... how many more major studios are there? We have... We don't have Fox anymore. So we have Paramount, Sony. MGM still is considered one of the major ones?
I think so.
Okay.
Warner Brothers.
Oh, Warner Brothers. And then Disney.
Brothers. Yeah.
So 5. Okay. Yeah. I guess there's still enough out there that it wouldn't... what does Sony own? I'm trying to think of where the FCC would get involved.
You also have DreamWorks, too, which they've become a major studio, if you ask me.
Yeah, but I think you have to look at it in terms of the properties that Sony owns and whether or not the FCC would get involved.
What do they have of value besides Spider-Man?
Well, no. I mean outside of what Sony Pictures might have. Because if they acquire Sony, look what all the stuff that came with Fox, right? Like Fox Searchlight and Fox like this and FS1. And
I think they would just be after Sony Entertainment, just the studio.
You think so?
Yeah, they're not going after PlayStation.
Or are they?
Look, Disney is very good at a lot of things. Video games ain't one of them. They are not. That's not their bag, and I think they should stay away from it.
That is very true. That's an interesting theory. Interesting theory.
You heard it here first. Podketeers 276. We make another successful prediction. We keep predicting attractions.
We're like the Simpsons of podcasting.
Yep.
That's so funny. Yeah, that's an interesting theory. I mean, I won't take it that way. I'm just saying that 3 films is pretty much what they need in order to tell the story that they need to tell. And who knows, maybe 3 years is exactly what they need before the president of something is out of that position and they renegotiate with the new president.
Well, or think about it. That could be Iger's like ultimate mic drop. Like, I got you, Spider-Man, and I'm out.
Yeah,
Boom!
That's true. Maybe it's in the book, and I just haven't read it yet. There's like, if I flash black light over the book, it's like in Gravity Falls. There's all this like invisible ink that says, my plan is to buy Sony and grab Spider-Man back for Marvel.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely.
That's so funny. Well, it'll be interesting to revisit this episode in 2 years and see what happens when Sony is purchased by Disney.
Jeez.
So cool. Did you guys see that there's a huge shift in Disney leadership also this last week? Speaking of all of that.
Yeah, it looks like some park heads are moving around.
Yeah. So Josh D'Amaro, who has been the president of the Disneyland Resort, posted on Instagram. Actually, I have his quote right here. Hold on a second. His quote is, "I cannot express how magical this experience has been, but of all of the things, it is the people I will miss the most. The amazing cast, our wonder guests, and our incredible pass holders. It truly takes people to make the dream a reality. Magic has a name. It is all of you." Josh D'Amaro was vice president of Walt Disney World, and then he was promoted to come to be the president of the Disneyland Resort not too long ago. He hasn't held the position very long. And now he's going to be transitioning to run Walt Disney World as the president of the Walt Disney World Resort. Rebecca Campbell will be moving into the role of the Disneyland Resort president, so we're looking forward to seeing some of her posts, hopefully on social media, connecting with her, learning a little bit more about, what she's bringing to the resort. I think Josh brought a lot of warmness and a lot of heart to the Disneyland Resort. I think he was a very admirable leader, and I never had a chance, obviously, to work for him or meet him, but I've heard a lot of stories from cast members and from friends who have had a chance to interact with him. And, now he's moving on to bigger and better things as well. So he will continue to report to Bob Chapek, who leads all of the parks. And, it's going to be an interesting transition. But I know that he's going to do a lot of great things at Walt Disney World. And like I said, I'm looking forward to see what Rebecca Campbell brings to DLR.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, it's always interesting when they make these changes to see kind of what comes in the next couple of years. Because usually they, some changes are implemented. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think it's time to shift into our main topic. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Groovy.
Yeah, all right. Well, before we jump in, I do want to remind you that this episode of Podketeers is brought to you in part by a great group of folks that we like to call the FGP Squad, also known as our podcast Fairy Godparents. It is their support via Patreon monthly that help make these episodes of Podketeers possible. If you want a little bit more information on how you can become part of the FGP Squad, you can head over to podketeers.com/FGP. There you will find a list of our podcast Fairy Godparents, along with a link to sign up. You can make a one-time donation, sign up to be a monthly contributor. Right now is actually a really great time to become part of the FGP Squad. On Patreon, we post several exclusive posts. We've been having some giveaways. We're planning our next live stream, hopefully once our schedules finally resync up, which we haven't been able to do in the last month and a half. But that is coming soon. And so podketeers.com/FGP, and to all of the members of the FGP Squad, we just want to send a huge thank you for your continued support. Gavin.
Sir.
Let's do this.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Let's talk about the island.
Yar. You guys like pirates, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just
Everybody
a little
likes
bit.
pirates.
We be liking them.
Great. So today's topic is none other than Disney's Treasure Island. So I'm going to start with a few just general facts about Treasure Island, the film, and then we'll tell you the tale, the seafaring tale. So Treasure Island was Disney's very first feature animated film, released in June of 1950. It was directed by Byron Haskin and produced by Walt Disney and Perce Pierce. The music was done by Clifton Parker. The script was written by Lawrence Edward Watkin, and the cinematography was done by Freddie Young. These people are all amazing because what they created is legendary. The film obviously is based on the novel of the same name by Robert Louis Stevenson, published in whole in 1883. It had a budget of $1.8 million, which was a heck of a lot of money in 1950.
Yeah.
But it was successful and pulled in over $4.1 million at the worldwide box office.
Wow.
And it stars a young Bobby Driscoll as Jim Hawkins, Robert Newton as Long John Silver, and Basil Sidney as Captain Smollett. So, sit back and hear a little tale. The year was 1946. A young Bobby Driscoll made his Disney debut. Now, most people know Bobby Driscoll today as the voice of Peter Pan in the animated film. But he also starred in Song of the South in 1946, and then in So Dear to My Heart in 1949. Bobby and his co-star in Song of the South, Luana Patton, were actually the first two actors Walt Disney put under contract. After the success of Song of the South with its live-action elements, the next film, So Dear to My Heart, was originally intended to be a fully live-action feature. However, RKO, the current Disney distributor, demanded animation be added to the picture. Thus, Treasure Island ended up being the first all-live-action movie in the Disney catalog.
Interesting.
Yeah. Disney had used live-action elements in shorts and films going all the way back to the earliest days of the studio and the Alice comedies.
Yeah.
But more or less, this was gimmickry. This was just them experimenting with neat effects and seeing what they could pull off. In the late 1930s and early 1940s, however, Walt sought to elevate animation to a respected art form. He achieved this with Snow White, Pinocchio, Fantasia, and Bambi. And as we know, Walt never allowed himself to plateau or stay in a rut. So eventually, by the late 1940s, he set his sights on the art form of traditional filmmaking. Now, as you all remember, because you're all faithful listeners, in episode 270, we already talked about how Walt invented the nature film in 1948 with his True Life adventures. At the same time, he was looking for ways to bring the Disney style of storytelling to big, colorful, thrilling adventures in live action instead of animation, which he felt he had already mastered. And of course, we also know he was already cooking up his very own Magic Kingdom called Disneyland at this point in time. In short, Walt was having a sort of renaissance of his own in the late 1940s that would take the studio and the company to new heights in the decade and a half that followed. This creative explosion reached full bloom with the undeniable success of Disneyland, which captured the imagination of the world, and the release in 1964 of their film masterpiece, Mary Poppins. So let's talk about Treasure Island. Scottish author Robert Louis Stevenson wrote Treasure Island in 1881 and 1882 as a series of serialized stories, and the world's perception of pirates has been colored by his swashbuckling tale ever since. It was Stevenson's novel that popularized the now common ideas of treasure maps marked with X, the black spot, peg-legged pirates, and talking parrots perched on shoulders of their seafaring owners. With Treasure Island, the sea novel genre that began nearly 200 years with Robinson Crusoe came to its peak. Its influence can be traced to new pirate tales being told even today, but more about that later. So this was the epic story Walt Disney Studios decided to tackle with their first ever live-action feature film.
Nice.
What they achieved was nothing less than breathtaking. It still thrills. It still keeps the audience on the edge of its seat. And in the same way the novel gave us our perception of pirates through descriptions and dialogue, so the film gave us some of the most influential imagery, sounds, and performances that have shaped our vision of the high seas ever since. The writing, cinematography, directing, and set design are all exquisitely executed. The film is filled with sailing ships, rocky coastal views, quaint harbor locales, and tropical islands. But what truly leaps off the screen is the incandescent performance of Robert Newton as the infamous Long John Silver. Can I get an ARG? ARG! Very good, mateys. Newton's performance is credited with creating the pirate sound. His exaggerated accent became the accepted standard for talking as a pirate would. He has even been deemed the patron saint of International Talk Like a Pirate Day.
Which, by the way, I love celebrating every year.
Yes.
That's the greatest.
We haven't had a chance to do it at my new job, but oh man, we used to do it like every year. I miss it. We need to start doing that.
Sure.
Yeah.
We definitely should.
I feel my voice starting to just speak like this the rest of the podcast.
We actually just missed it, too. It was just a couple weeks ago on September 19th.
Mm-hmm.
So we will have to plan for that next year for sure.
Yes, indeed.
The story of Treasure Island is really about the young cabin boy Jim Hawkins, played by Bobby Driscoll. But in both the novel and the film, it is Silver that most intrigues the audience and keeps it guessing at his every move. He is undoubtedly one of the most iconic characters in all of Western literature and all of film history as well. Has either of you read the novel or seen the film?
I haven't seen the film, but I've read that. And
You've
then
read the book?
Yeah.
Okay.
Negative on both accounts.
Negative on both? Oh,
yes.
Melissa, we got to change that. The character of Long John Silver ends up being such a mysterious... He's the criminal you cheer for. You know, he's the rogue with a heart. He's
basically Killmonger.
Can I?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you kind of see his motivations and you see his soft spot the whole time, even though he's a heinous pirate. And
Do I get credit if I say that I've seen Muppets Treasure Island?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, you do, because it's a very good retelling.
All right.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Long John Silver he's such a unique character, and the writing of his cleverness and his scheming throughout the book and throughout the film are just so engaging. It's really, really good. Treasure Island has been incredibly influential, as I've said. The novel is considered the best of its genre, and Robert Louis Stevenson is currently, today, the 26th most translated author in the world.
Wow.
So in all of literary history, he's the 26th most translated. That's insane.
Yeah.
Now, he also wrote some other big hit novels, such as Kidnapped and The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So Treasure Island wasn't his only success, but it was his first big success, not unlike Disney live-action films.
Wasn't Kidnapped supposed to be a sequel to Treasure Island?
No, he did write a short story that was a sequel, but Kidnapped was not a sequel to Treasure Island. Yeah. Good question, though. I'm glad to see you're paying attention.
I also brought you an apple, Teach.
Great. Them apples keep the scurvy away.
Just don't eat the one with the green slime coming down on it.
That's right. Throughout the history of film and TV, over 50 versions of Treasure Island have been made, going all the way back to the 1918 silent film by Fox. So I suppose that's part of Disney now? I don't know if they got all of that old stuff. I don't know.
It is.
24 stage adaptations have been created, and it has also been turned into radio dramas, comic books, and video games. Within the Disney company, the influence is far-reaching as well. 3 different film versions fall under the Disney umbrella. The live-action film from 1950, Muppet Treasure Island from 1996, as Mel mentioned a moment ago, and the sci-fi retelling Treasure Planet in 2002. That also counts because it's a pretty faithful retelling as well. In addition, its ripples are felt in the parks as well. The original Pirates of the Caribbean attraction in New Orleans Square at Disneyland was largely the result of Treasure Island's success and the influence that the Romance of Pirates had on Walt. That attraction became so synonymous with Disney parks that every Disney resort around the world, except Hong Kong, has its own Pirates of the Caribbean attraction. That, of course, spawned the smash hit series of Pirates of the Caribbean films.
Yeah.
What I find interesting is in those films, one cannot appreciate the performance of Geoffrey Rush as Barbossa without acknowledging the preceding performance of Robert Newton as Long John Silver. The influence on both the writing and the performance is very clear to me. He is clearly doing an homage to Long John Silver with his accent, with the way that character is written, the schemingness of him. Like, he's always trying to make a deal and like skew it his way and like capture the deal as soon as they seem agreeable, and then reveal like, but you never said this, like, yeah. I love that kind of slick dealership that he does. And it's a clear influence that Long John Silver had on that. Fun fact, Treasure Island is actually the very first novel that a young Gavin ever read. Oh, wow. So it has been very influential to me as well. I still go back to it every couple of years, and I've watched the film over and over and over again. If you have neither read the film, if you've neither read the book or watched the film, I highly recommend it. A lot of people, especially today, put such a premium on the new that they neglect the old. And filmmaking is a long standing art form. And in the middle 20th century, fantastic, amazing films were being made. And they may not have the mind-blowing special effects of today's mega blockbusters, but the writing, the pacing, the cinematography, the editing can make for some truly gripping films, and I count this amongst them. I go see it. Definitely go see it. It's available on Amazon Prime for like $3. It's probably at your local DVD store for $10 on DVD. Like, it's not one that's hard to find. Do yourself a favor, watch the movie. It's fantastic. In closing, Treasure Island set the tone for Disney live action films for years to come. Though incredibly successful, many of the films of that first decade were painted as boys' tales, and thus have not been widely watched by female audiences. I think our little experiment here says just that. Heyzen and I are familiar with it, and Melissa hasn't seen or read it. So it kind of makes sense. They are kind of targeted towards boys. And that's true of a lot of their early films.
True.
But nonetheless, it made for smooth sailing for some incredible films in its wake, such as The Story of Robin Hood and His Merry Men, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which is my personal favorite live-action Disney film, the Davy Crockett series, Old Yeller, Zorro the Avenger, and of course in 1960, the epic Swiss Family Robinson. And that's just to name a few. So when Disney decided to sink his teeth into live-action films, as with everything else, he went all in. And he created an insane legacy. And like I said, I feel like it kind of fully culminated with what I consider the Disney live-action masterpiece, Mary Poppins. Treasure Island is what kicked it off and started it. It is an incredible film, and its influence is felt even today. So that's the story of Long John Silver and Co.
Wow.
And Co.
And Co.
That be a great shanty, me bucko.
Thank you. Thank you.
We shall now sing the story you've been telling. You know, it's great because in the event that you can't find Treasure Island anywhere, or you don't want to pay for it, but you've already made the investment in Disney Plus. Obviously, from the date of this episode, we're approximately 6 weeks away. Yep. Treasure Island and Muppet Treasure Island will both be on Disney Plus as of the launch date.
That's actually a really good point. I did not think of that. I don't know why, because I'm so excited about Disney Plus. But yes, that is very true. It's so worth it. It really is. I have a penchant for the 19th century English novel. Most of my favorite novels are from that era. And Treasure Island is no exception to that. But the film, I feel like, is lost to a lot of Disney fans. You know, I think about the earliest film that most people are really aware of is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Mm-hmm. Most people don't go earlier than that, and a lot of people don't go any earlier than Mary Poppins or maybe Swiss Family Robinson. But yeah, 1950 gave us a world-class gem, some real treasure.
Do you think that we would have had, or people would have been more aware of it, had we had a Pirates attraction at Disneyland sooner than we got Pirates of the Caribbean, since we had a 20,000 Leagues exhibit when the park opened?
It's quite possible. That's an interesting thought. I didn't consider that, but that may be so. I will tell you that it did so much to further popularize the pirate genre that I don't believe we would have had Pirates of the Caribbean without it, the attraction or the film franchise. And I don't believe that. I mean, it really created so much of this kind of cult following of pirates and this fandom and the romanticization of the pirate life. Nothing is more romanticized than the Pirates of the Caribbean films. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one line that you can draw directly back to Treasure Island and specifically to Robert Newton's performance, which it's a performance for the ages. And I can't overstate this enough. It's worth it just for his performance. It really is. It's one of the greatest film character pieces you will ever see. And I get so excited watching that movie every time I see it. Like, I put it on last night to kind of prep for this episode. And I was laying down in bed watching it, and 15 minutes in, I was sitting up straight. I was like leaning forward. Like, I was into the movie. It just draws you in. And it may be more appealing to boys or men, but I feel like there are some universal qualities to it and some real spectacular performances and artistry in the film that anyone can appreciate, no matter what walk of life you're from. It's incredible. Long story short, to answer your question, yes, I think it might have been a more direct transition if there was something more immediate in the park. And more people would be familiar with it today. Or even if the 1967 opening of Pirates of the Caribbean had references to that IP, which at that time I don't even think they considered, or, you know, they wanted to write a new story. I don't know, you know, but maybe if that was about Long John Silver and you saw Jim Hawkins and, you know, it was Captain Smollett that was trying to fend off Long John Silver, you know, maybe, but I don't know what the real reason is, because it's a really fantastic movie.
Maybe they just couldn't get the rights to it and they came up with their own version.
That's possible.
That's a possibility.
I don't know if the Robert Louis Stevenson estate still retained licensing rights and they didn't want to deal with that. I have no idea.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to ask somebody that was involved in the development of Pirates to see if that was even considered at some point, because now that you've brought it up, I can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
I just keep wondering, like, why wasn't it incorporated, especially if Walt was such a fan and Treasure Island was the first live action film?
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is that, Walt was always forward looking. When he first built the park, when they were doing Fantasyland, I feel like they felt like they needed to bring in some of their characters. But with pretty much every other corner of the park outside of Fantasyland, they were writing new stories. It was new ideas to their storytelling. And I think Pirates was not an exception to that. They're bringing a new pirate tale for that attraction. So I feel like just, I don't know this as fact, but that's what I feel like was likely the case, just knowing how he and WED were operating at that time. It was all looking to creating new experiences, not old. Yeah. Even though, right after that, they built Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse. So I don't know.
Well, for sure, I'm not waiting for Disney Plus because I really need to see this film, and I may just get this book on Audible.
It's so good
because I think that's the only thing I would technically complete, because I've seen all the pirate movies. I've seen, like I said, Muppets Treasure Island, Treasure Planet. I got the mark of the pirate on my leg. I mean, I got to complete this thing.
You got to see it then. Yeah, you'll appreciate so much about it because it's clearly the grandfather of all those things. Mm-hmm. All those movies are spitting images of their grandpappy called Treasure Island.
Right, and how you were describing Barbossa, and I'm watching. I'm like, okay, so I could see his mannerisms, and what you're describing, I'm like, I got to see this film to make that connection. And like I said, complete my whole my checklist of everything.
Yep. I mean, in Curse of the Black Pearl, I'm just going to keep going on this. In Curse of the Black Pearl, Barbossa's character, he, instead of a parrot, he's got a monkey on his shoulder, right?
Right.
That's one thing. He's got the big hat. They both have big hats. And he's afflicted. He doesn't have a missing leg, but he has a missing soul, basically, right? Mm-hmm. So he's got the fact that he's basically undead. So they both are handicapped in various ways. And they're both these dynamic, engaging characters with this charisma. They're criminal, but they've got this charisma and charm that can just draw you in. I love the characters in the Pirates films. I think it's filled with some of the most amazing characters, and they're all so well cast. But Jeffrey Rush as Barbossa, to me, takes it to a new level. Nice. I think he is the best character in the series. That I just do. And a lot of that may be biased because I see so much Long John Silver in him. And Long John Silver is the pirate of pirates to me. He is my dude.
Plus, he makes some really great fish sticks.
He spawned a fast food franchise.
Wow.
Sorry, hashtag dad joke.
So good, man.
Well, on that note, dude, that was great. Out of curiosity, I have to ask. Mm-hmm. You said that Treasure Island was the first novel that a young Gavin read. Was that because it was forced upon you in the scholastic system, or because you just decided to pick up the novel and just read it?
I guess the answer would be some of both. As I remember it, we had a list of books that we could choose from. We had to read a book, but we could choose from, 10 different books. And that was the one I chose. It sounded interesting. And it was the first thing I remember enjoying reading as well. It kind of was an early example of, reading's kind of dope. I could get into this. And like I said, I've reread it many times over the years, and it never falls short for me. I just feel so gripped by it every time.
That's funny. The first book that I remember reading and having that same feeling about, because I read Treasure Island after the book I'm about to mention, but the first one that I remember that feeling from was The Outsiders.
Okay.
And then after that is when I started to venture out to longer novels. And I remember reading Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde first.
Okay.
And I remember just thinking that was one of the greatest stories ever written. Then from there, because I went to a school named after Robert Louis Stevenson, our librarian really pushed Treasure Island on me when she said, if you really enjoyed Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, you're going to love Treasure Island. And I'm so glad I took her up on it, because it was probably the third or fourth book I read just kind of on my own outside of, what was required.
Yeah.
And man, such a great book. Such a great book.
Agreed.
I don't have a follow-up to that. Like, don't ask me.
Well, give it a couple weeks and you might have a review of your own.
Of course.
Yeah. Let us know when you watch it. We'd love to know what you thought about it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, I think it's about time to wrap up this baby and put it to bed. What do you think?
Sure.
Wah. Give it a bottle or something. I don't know. All right. Well, if you guys have any comments on anything that we talked about in this episode, join the conversation over on Facebook, Instagram, or on Twitter. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, if you're listening to this on YouTube, you leave a comment for us to check out. While you're there, if you like the episode or if you like any of the other content that's there, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Ring that bell icon for notifications whenever new videos are posted. And remember, we're still raising money for City of Hope to support the fight against women's cancers. We are approximately 50+% towards our goal. We have a goal of $1,000 for this event, and we're at $510 as of the recording of this episode. TeamBoatWillie.com is where you want to go to make a donation. The auctions are coming up. You'll get more information this week on those. Every Teamboat Willie item that you purchase from the Podketeers store, podketeers.com/gear, anything with Teamboat Willie on it, we will be donating $3 towards our fundraising cause. So if you have any questions, make sure to hit us up on social media. We'll be happy to help you out with any of those questions.